Something will have to give when two undefeated teams come head-to-head for the right to lift the 2024 ICC Men's T20 World Cup title in Barbados. South Africa will face off with India in the clash of the Titans. India seeking to reclaim the trophy they last won in the inaugural 2007 edition, while South Africa are in the final for the very first time. Both teams, by the way, were quite dominant in their respective semi-final wins over Afghanistan as well as England just a few days ago. Let's speak now to former Proteas fast bowler Monde Zondeki, who joins us live from Cape Town via Zoom to help us look ahead to this final that's coming up later on this afternoon. Monde, good morning, good to see you as always. I guess South Africans are waiting for this final. You must also be waiting in bated breath for the final. Do you imagine a couple of nervous players and coaches in the squad at the moment?
Firstly, good morning and thank you for having me once again. Yes, I'm sure they will be very nervous. As you said, I think the semi-final was very dominating for South Africa. So it was nice to actually get into a game and win without the nerves of what we've seen so far in this tournament. But yeah, the guys will be very nervous. I think it's a huge occasion for South Africa. It's the first time we've made a final in any of these big tournaments in the history of South African history. So it's a huge occasion. And I think they'll know that all eyes will be on South Africa today. So there's going to be a few nervous people around, yeah, for sure.
You speak about, obviously, the semi-final, in particular that Afghanistan semi-final win for the Proteas. And the bowling masterclass we saw from our bowlers was quite evident in that match. Talk to me about what you think has worked for our bowlers at this year's T20 World Cup.
Well, I think throughout the start of this World Cup, I think from the start, both our batting and our bowling wasn't at its best. But what's pleasing to watch and what's been nice to see is that both the batting and the bowling, as the pro tournament has progressed, have got a lot better. And I think Rabada, the whole bowling attack really, Shams has been up and down, but once when he's bowled really well. I think Barbados has had a very good tournament for a guy who's just got picked for South Africa for the first time. Yeah. So throughout the tournament, I think we've just been getting better and better and better. And the nice thing about where we are right now, I think everyone's peaking at the right time. Even our batting, De Kock was under pressure in the beginning of the tournament. He's getting runs. Markram a little bit as well. So it's nice to see that everybody's performing precisely at the right time and we're getting into the final with a team that's very confident at the moment.
And you speak about the batting, and I think one of the things that has also come out from the Proteas batting lineup is the fact that maybe they have not taken much responsibility, Monde, because we've seen how our bowlers have essentially saved us some matches at this year's competition. Yes, Quinton de Kock having the fair share of the runs for South Africa, definitely the best batter for South Africa at the moment. I think about Hendrik Klaasen as well, who has the ability to tear any bowling lineup in the world, but he essentially has not come to the fore. Reza Hendricks as well. Do you think, though, that our batters have taken the responsibility of getting the runs at this year's competition?
Well, I think at the back end of it, and as I said in the beginning, we talked a lot about the pitch in New York where they played their first 3 games and they struggled a bit with the batting because every team struggled. India played in that wicket and they also struggled. So understandably, after leaving New York, I think the batters have slowly but surely started getting into the tournament, whereas in the beginning it was really about the bowlers, and that wicket was very difficult to bat on. But once we moved away from there and into the Caribbean, we saw Quinton come on, we saw Markram get a bit of runs. Yeah. Klaasen's looked like he could get some runs, but hasn't really kicked on. And so is David Miller and the guys. So it's been promising to see from where we were in the beginning of the tournament, and granted the wicket wasn't great to bat on, to where we are right now, which is a very confident and a different batting lineup. So, yes, I think the batters have taken responsibility. I think they've talked about it, and I think that they're kicking on at the right time as well.
Let's speak, though, about the matches, some close matches we've seen for the Proteas. That game against Nepal, a 1-run win. There was the game against Bangladesh, the West Indies, England as well, the Netherlands as well. I wonder, what do you think has changed, though, with the Proteas winning the close matches? Because historically, those were the kind of matches that South Africa would lose. That's how we got the chokers tag. What do you think has changed in South Africa managing to win such close matches?
It's pretty hard to say. I think what I will say is that in the past we had close games, but they've never been games that were in the semi-finals like we've lost in the past. If you think about 1999 was a semi-final when Lance Klusener was batting, and we should have won that game, but we didn't, so we choked there for sure. Some have been affected by rain in the past, but we've usually won tight games in tournaments, but those games didn't really matter as much as the semi-final. I mean, if you think about last year in the World Cup against Pakistan, it was a round-robin game, but it was a very close game and we won. We came through in the end, but we looked like we could lose. So I think where we've gone wrong in the past has always been in the knockout stages, the big games, the semi-finals, if you will. And surprisingly, we won a very easy semi-final, as you said. We bowled first, and I think the conditions did suit us. So yeah, this is a really big one that we need to perform at. I think in the past, as I said, we played well and we've won close games, but never when it really mattered the most, which is the semi-final and the final for the first time. So hopefully that has changed. And again, I think it does help that Makhura, who's won a World Cup for South Africa at under 18 and 19 level. So has Kagiso Rabada. So those guys have played in big games in World Cups. But granted, yes, it was juniors, but he's captain now. And there's a new coach who's just come in as well. So maybe the scars of the past haven't really affected those guys as much as guys who've been through it a lot. So yeah, maybe new management, new coaching, new team, basically, a new captain. The nerves of the past aren't as much when we hit the semi-finals, and hopefully the final today the nerves won't affect us as much.
All right, Monde, I appreciate your time this morning on the Weekend Report. Thank you so much. We'll definitely be watching that final with the first ball being bowled at 4:30 later on this afternoon. South Africa up against India in the last match of the T20 World Cup.